Episode number 335. I am here with longtime friend and customer, Aaron Sorensen. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, how you doing?
Thank you for coming, and thank you for accepting the invite, man.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for the invite.
I love it, man. You've been coming here for a long time.
I have, yeah. I remember when I originally moved to Tianmu in 2015, I moved across from the Dandy Hotel.
That's awesome.
And just wandering around looking for a place to eat, I was really excited to see that there was a Mexican restaurant with outdoor seating, had craft beers.
Yeah, I mean, the Mexican restaurant craft beer thing, I mean, I thought it was pretty original, but now I guess there's a lot of it going around. But yeah, I mean, craft beer is something I love. Whenever I travel, one of the first things, when you go out into a local pub and you're like, well, what's local, right? And so I thought we could try to bring that here with the Mexican food and yeah, pair all that stuff, man. So I'm glad you like it. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I just couldn't believe it. And then I'd heard that shortly before I arrived, so probably 2014-ish, that there just was no craft beer scene here in Taipei.
There was nothing at all. And it's crazy because we started, well, I don't want to say we were the first, but we did our restaurant in Danshui. So we started with a stand, did that for about a year. And then we moved to a really small restaurant in Danshui. And we were doing there's no craft beer at all, zero. And we were doing Heineken and Corona and Budweiser.
Oh,
and
okay.
we're like, we can get Budweiser? Wow. And actually, I think he works at the school, Jim Boyle.
Yes.
So Jim Boyle, he comes up, up the hill and introduces himself, and he's telling me about I didn't know much about craft beer. He comes up and he's like, hey, you know what? I'm bringing in Anchor Steam beer, and Rogue.
Okay.
And I'm like, I don't know what that is. You got to explain it to me. So he explained it to me, and I'm like, well, let's try it. And we had some, and I thought, holy crap, this is good. And so that was kind of like the start of that journey, and we slowly kind of grew from there. Yeah.
Well, I lived in Japan from a while back, and when I was in Japan, I do remember one of the first really good beers that I had there, and thinking, wow, this is fantastic. Beer can be like this. And it was Anchor Steam. That was the one.
Really? Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
They must have a fantastic distribution network.
I actually heard that they closed up in the last year or two. Okay. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know, that much about it. But yeah. But anyways, it's awesome beer. I love it. Yeah, and Jim Boyle as well. Love that guy. Great guy. So obviously we're in Taiwan. Obviously you've been kind of all over the world working and traveling and doing your thing. So let's take a couple steps back and start at the beginning.
Right.
Milwaukee.
That's right.
Tell me about Milwaukee.
Well, I lived worked in Milwaukee. I mean, I was from there. Okay. I worked at a tourist bar called The Safe House. So it was back when we had guidebooks.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Lonely Planet and stuff.
Right. It was the top of the list of them. And so it was a bar that had opened up in the 60s, had a James Bond theme.
That's cool.
Needed a password to get in it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And so I worked there, and even then there was one local brewery called Sprecher Beer. They had amber beer. They were one of the first in Milwaukee to bring craft beer.
Very cool.
And even small breweries like Lakefront Brewery, which is a favorite of mine. And then after I graduated from college, I decided I wanted to take a few years and travel. I'll let you know when I'm done.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think I don't know much about Milwaukee. The two things that I know about Milwaukee are the brewers.
That's right.
Right? And do you remember Wayne's World?
I do. Yeah, Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. It's Algonquin for the good land. Right? These are the two things I know about Milwaukee. And it was funny because, I had somebody I met a couple years ago, and he was way younger. And so when I said, Milwaukee, Algonquin for the good land. And he just looked at me like, what the hell? Who is this weirdo? And I thought, you never saw that one, huh?
Well, I have a T-shirt that says, it has a picture of
Alice Cooper?
of an American Indian, and it does say the good land. And I don't know if that's actually what it means, but
that's so funny.
People have adopted that.
That's too good. That's too good.
I also hear Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley. Those are the two big ones.
Oh, really? I didn't know Happy Days was there.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So Milwaukee, right?
That's right.
And then you decided, okay, it's time to move on from here,
That's correct.
right?
Yeah.
So the next step was where?
I just did a little traveling through Europe for probably about 2 months.
Okay.
And I had arranged to get a work visa in London.
Yep.
Through an exchange program they have. I don't know if it's still around, but it was meant for students because I had just graduated. I was eligible. So I lived and worked in London for 6 months
Okay.
as a substitute teacher.
What made you choose London? Was that just like you got to go to London, or was there a list of places and you're like London?
There was a list of places, but I think there was a language requirement.
Oh, gotcha.
So I could have gone to, say, I could have gone to Edinburgh, but
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
I chose London just because I knew that it was a place that I would probably be able to get a job.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes
And
sense.
with my teaching qualification, I was actually able to work and make a decent living.
Okay, in London. Okay, and
In
how
London.
was London life? I've never been there. I don't know much. I hear mixed things. I don't know much about it. So tell me a little bit about London.
I liked it. I just don't think I took advantage of the cultural things that I could have been doing.
Okay.
I think I saw one musical like my last day before I was flying. out.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you were young, right?
That's
you were
right.
Just like, hey, we're the pretty girls, right?
Yeah, I was about 23. I was
Yeah, yeah,
hitting the pubs.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. Actually, I came here when I was 23. So
Okay.
that was a similar thing. People would ask me all these questions about, what's the traditional this, traditional that. When I was like 23, I'm like, I don't know. What are you talking about? Who cares? Yeah. I was actually here for SARS. Remember SARS?
I remember hearing about it. Yeah.
So I was here for that, and my mom called me. She's like, "You got to come home." I'm like, "Why?" She's like, "SARS. It's gonna be really bad." And I said, "I didn't even notice. I'm just
Right.
kind of doing my own thing. You're like 24 years old.
Sure.
You're a guy. You don't really care."
Yeah.
That's funny, man. SARS. Yeah. So London was good. You started taking advantage. You said you saw a play. just
I did
before you
see.
left?
I saw. It was Starlight Express. It was a musical on rollerblades.
Wow.
And
Well, that's cool.
Because I was on my own, the single seats are pretty easy. Like good single seats are pretty easy to come by.
Okay.
And the only reason I saw it is because musical on rollerblades. That sounds really awesome.
That does. Yeah, and it was, I guess.
It was pretty good. I mean, yeah. It was. I was close enough where I was actually on the inside of the track that they were going around.
Okay.
so-
Okay. So as good as that can be, yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. And then, so was that the point where you kind of got bit by the bug, where you're like, I want to travel, I want to teach, kind of different places all over the world, or when did that come into your mind?
Yeah, I had been traveling for a while, and
Okay.
at one point I ran into someone who was on a holiday, and they said that they were a teacher in Japan.
Okay. Ooh.
And I'm going to say the name Rachel, because that was her name.
Okay.
But she's going to come up later, because she told me, yeah, you should go look at places in Japan. And so I kept
Gotcha.
a writing correspondence with her.
Nice.
And then I just applied at a company called Nova, which was basically an English conversation school, which is a bushiban.
Okay. Yeah.
in
Yeah. Okay.
And they had an office in London, so I was able to apply with them and get a
beauty.
job through London, and they shipped me over.
Okay. So what do you think was the point where you thought, okay, I want to get out of Milwaukee. And
Mm-hmm.
I want to maybe not stay in the States. I want to go and kind of travel. Well, you're a young guy.
Sure.
Tell me about that sort of thought process.
Well, I had
Yeah.
I had planned on moving out west with a friend of mine, and who then later on told me, you know what, I'm not going to have the funds to do this. Why don't you go on ahead without me, and I'll
By myself.
yeah. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to get things set up for you, and then
Yeah.
have it like. And I had always thought that I wanted to travel overseas, and I thought before I get
Gotcha.
settled, before I have a career or have a significant other, that I should, this is the time to do it.
Everyone should.
Yeah,
And now, hindsight, awesome decision, of course.
absolutely. No.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I ended up in Japan,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
shortly after moving there, I met my now wife. So.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about that. You guys met, some love at first sightness, or what was this?
Well, I mean,
Everybody loves a good love story. Come on.
we're already talking ages.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, I moved there in '97, and so there were things that are now obsolete now called
Okay.
internet cafes.
Yes. I
And-
think I've seen them once in a while. I'll see like a random one there around here. Yeah. But go ahead.
And so I didn't have a computer, and a
Nice.
friend of mine had told me about this new service called Hotmail.
Hotmail. Ooh, nice. Okay.
And so, like, up until that point, you needed your own laptop and your own, or your own computer at least, and your own connection, and that's how you got an email. But Hotmail, it might not have been the first, but it was the first really well-known one where
sure.
you could just go to an internet cafe and check your email.
Which was so cool at the time.
And it was amazing. And she worked
Yeah.
at that internet cafe.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So I was in there a couple days a week, and so that's how it mattered.
That's cool, man. I love that. Okay. And so at this point, you're in Japan, right? So London to Japan,
That's right.
So how was the difference? You know, Milwaukee, London, Japan must be very different.
Yeah, I mean, I actually felt like Japan, they went out of their way to make things very convenient. Like they would have two people checking you out at a grocery store just to that was my first observation. Was just how efficient I felt like things were.
Okay.
When I first arrived there. This was in '97, so shortly after the bubble. I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know,
okay.
but everyone's very courteous. And at the time, though, it was really hard to get. It was hard to get good, things like Reese's peanut butter cups. That was the hot ticket.
Yeah. Still here. I think it still is. No. Yeah.
It is.
It's not so easy to get here still.
Root
yeah.
beer. That was another one.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that's because Japanese people hate root beer. I don't mean to be overstepping, or I've met one Japanese person who claimed they like root beer.
That's funny.
I think it's a cultural thing.
It's very American or Canadian, because I also had Mexican relatives that came to visit, and I'm like, you got to try this. This is root beer. You're gonna love it. And they tried it, and they told me it tastes like toothpaste.
Okay, what I heard instead of toothpaste was it tastes like when you like the medical pads, or even like icy hot or whatever that is.
Yeah.
So there's that. That's what a lot of. That's what my wife growing up, she said that's what it smelled like, and it tasted like that. And absolutely the best reaction I got from a person was, "This is okay."
This is okay.
Yeah. Whereas I don't know that ever. Usually it's oh my gosh, I don't know if I can spit this out without offending the person.
In Japanese, very polite, right?
Right.
Yeah. Usually, that's so funny, man. Was there any going to Japan? Obviously. The U.S. and England are going to be different.
Sure.
But they both speak English. Not the same culture, but there are some similarities.
That's right.
And then going to Asia, going to Japan, where it's very different. So were there any sort of things that stood out to you, like a culture shock thing, or?
Yeah, I think a lot of the just the language barrier, I think, was probably the biggest thing. Because when I went to Europe, I could at least speak rudimentary Spanish, and a lot of people spoke English.
Nice.
In Japan, there was no reading and no writing of it. There was enough English around where I could get by, and I think people were friendly enough that they would really help me. But I think the cultures, I think a lot of the festivals. So in Japan, in August, there's a lot of there's the and essentially the festival celebrating person's ancestors, the recently deceased parents, deceased grandparents, and so there was a lot of that. I think the work culture as well.
Yeah, tell me about that. Yeah, that's quite famous or infamous, maybe.
Well, I was essentially a Bushiman teacher. I was an English conversation teacher. We taught a lot of business people.
Okay.
And they would come in after they were done working for the day, and I would hear a lot of stories about how hard they were working and whatnot. And there was one friend of mine who formerly had been a nurse, and I think she became the resident counselor.
Okay.
Because a lot of the people who would request to have her as a teacher, they just had something they wanted to talk about.
Okay.
And I felt like there was the cultural stigma against expressing your feelings.
Yep.
But for whatever reason, saying it in English felt like
like a hack, like a backdoor hack sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah,
that's interesting.
exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I think we've been to Japan. Obviously, we're living in Taiwan. One of the cool things is we get to go to all the countries nearby and stuff. And we did Japan. We did Okinawa. Japan was really nice. I love the food. Food's great.
Right.
We actually, one of my wife's best friends, she went to university with, is Japanese, so we went to visit. And it's funny that I noticed there were some obviously similarities, but some differences. I don't know if it's just her or all of Japan, but she was very on time.
Yes.
Like, she was like on it, like almost German style. Like, hey, I'm on time. Whereas my wife is late for everything, right? And so, she's like, okay, you know what? Today, I'm taking care of you guys. I'll be at your hotel at the MRT or whatever the equivalent is, the subway, at 10:30. Meet me there, and then I'll take care of you guys for the day. And it's like 10 o'clock, and I'm like, let's go. And she's kind of like out cold, right? Because she was on holiday, right? So she didn't want to, have the schedule. And so we got there like a half an hour late, and she was furious. Yeah. She's like, I've been here for 30 minutes. I have this whole day planned for you. Now the schedule is and she was just like, she was pissed. And I thought, holy, this is crazy. Because I've only lived in Taiwan.
Right.
And most of my Taiwanese friends and people that I've kind of associated with are kind of like Mexican. They're always late.
Oh, yeah.
Always late.
Sure.
I like to be on time because I don't want to waste people's time. But we're always late because my wife is like, yeah, sure. And she kind of, and then my daughter's like, yeah, we'll do it, So that was the first time I thought, oh, it is different. Yeah.
I've had to adjust to who is making the plans.
Okay.
And what the expectations are. I've gotten very good at that because in the States, I've had friends who, they're punctuality challenged. So you bring a book, you.
That's polite, very polite.
You make sure that, like you're in contact with them, and this is even back before phones. I'm like, okay, well, working things out. But I know that, if I'm making plans with my wife, we're generally on time.
So she's on time. Okay, so that's a typical, like a Japanese.
Absolutely.
Okay, like clockwork, we're on time.
Well, she's had to adjust to me, I think, to some degree. Like me, like now that we're no longer in Japan, that I think she's gotten a lot more relaxed about it.
Yeah. Okay.
And again, there's been adjustments for both of us.
That's too funny. I have some German friends as well, very good friends of mine, and they're also the same when they're just like, and they're very direct. They're just like, this is what we do. You tell them something, and you tell them a joke or something, and they're like, that's not funny. And that for me is funny because it's very German. They're like, no, not funny. And I love it. So Japan, beautiful. You met your wife. Did you get married there and then start to travel, or how did that work out?
Okay, so we got married. We got married there.
Yeah.
And that was just go to the local ward office, the city office, do the paperwork, and we were married 8 months before we actually had a wedding ceremony.
Okay.
So we had the wedding ceremony in Japan. So we were married in September of 2000.
Got it.
Had the wedding ceremony May of 2001, and then we went back to the States and had our American wedding ceremony in September of 2001.
Okay, beautiful. And then so you were living in Japan, but you went back to have the ceremony in the States.
That is correct. I mean, my mother came to. My mother was my only family member that wanted to fly, but of course I had grandparents. I had my father and whatnot. Now. September of 2001 was a large event in the history of the United States.
Okay.
So we were married September 8th.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm
2001.
A few seconds there. Yeah.
And
wow.
we were set to fly out the morning of the World Trade Center attacks.
The 9/11. Okay.
And we were actually we had to wait 3 days. We called every day. We weren't sure whether or not because we were in Milwaukee, but we fly out of Chicago, which is about an hour and a half
close
drive.
right?
Yeah, it's close
Okay.
enough to drive, but
Okay.
you do need to plan ahead to get there for an international flight.
Interesting.
So we left
Okay.
around 8. We were going to leave around 8 a.m.
Okay.
And it was shortly after.
Didn't work out. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway, we were the first flight out of the U.S. and we were on the first flight to land in Japan from the U.S.
Okay.
So there were camera crews waiting for reactions from people.
Really? Oh, okay. You were on the news then in Japan.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. That's
Probably
crazy.
walking past. But.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. So how long did you spend in Japan, and then how did you sort of transition? You went Japan to Milwaukee to Japan, and then Japan to, I believe, Abu Dhabi.
That is correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So tell me about how that kind of came about.
Well,
'Cause that's a very different place as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
it is.
Tell
So
me
you want to
about
talk
it.
about having to
Yeah.
adjust your expectations around punctuality.
Okay. Yeah.
So I was by that point. Excuse me. I was teaching in Japan as Bushman teacher. Then I decided to get my master's in teaching English so I could work in the universities.
Nice.
And I was doing that for a while, and it just really, it was good. It paid money. It paid good money. It's a good lifestyle, but it just wasn't really my jam.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I teach math, and I really like math.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt like there was a lot more of a future in teaching math. So
Okay.
I decided I got an opportunity to teach in Abu Dhabi, and
And you were doing the math in Abu Dhabi.
I did
Or
math. I
English.
taught math in Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I did that in a college prep program.
Oh, cool. Okay. Okay.
But oddly enough, the math I was teaching adults in a college prep program, people who are planning on being engineers. At one point, I was teaching lower math than I'm teaching now in middle school.
In middle school. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm curious because math is obviously it's like a unique subject, obviously. It seems
Right.
like you're good at it or you're not. I mean, obviously any skill can be learned,
Sure.
right? But I mean, what do you think about it being also in Asia where math is like almost next level? Does that kind of influence your teaching now? Because I mean, some of the math, when I taught English, I would have these elementary kids come into my class. We do the English, and they'd have their 10-minute break time, and then they'd pull out their math books, and they're just like, "Oh my gosh, teacher," and I'm like, "What's up, buddy?" And they're just like, "Man, can you help me with this?" And I'm like, "Of course I can." And I looked at like grade 4 or 5 math, and I was like, "Holy!" It looked like calculus to me. I thought, "What is this?" And my math is bad. Like I grew up in a small town, and my math is not good, and so I was kind of blown away. And like the math that my daughter has now, it's for me is kind of like mind blowing.
Right.
So how does that factor into where you're teaching now, or how does that work?
Well, I think that what I do is a bit
Yeah.
different from the local schools.
Sure, I'm
Because,
sure.
I know that, from what I understand, in talking with students who have come from local schools
Okay.
or parents of people who have come from local schools,
Okay.
the math is much more algorithmic. Like it's
Okay.
more like a recipe. This is how you do it. This is when you see this problem. This is what you do.
Oh,
And it's very calculation based. It's making sure you can do the calculations and your skills are there. And that's really I'm working much more towards the idea of thinking about the math and trying to find the ways to do problem solving, the ways of modeling your thinking, the ways to get students to really really consider what's being asked.
okay.
And so yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry. No,
So
I don't want
looking
to cut you off.
behind looking behind the math and looking for ways to do it, and especially optimizing what you do. Because if you see a question, instead of assuming that there's just one way to do it and this is what you do when you see the situation, you look at the question and you think, well, I could do it this way, or I could do it this way, or I could do it this way.
Love that.
Which
Yeah.
one's the best way? And that's
Yeah.
kind of really what we're thinking of, because if you think about it, AI is going to be able to outmath anyone who can do the algorithms anyway.
That's my next question because I actually, so my daughter goes to local school.
Right.
Right. I would love to be able to put her in, TS for high school. So if anyone wants to sponsor that, let me know. It's a little tough one for us right now for that, but that's another subject. So she goes to local school. She did elementary. She's doing junior high. But for this year, I've opted for something a little bit different. So she goes to junior high. Again, my math is not good.
Sure.
So she goes there for math, and she goes for Chinese, Mandarin, whatever the politically correct thing is.
Sure.
Chinese. We say Chinese here, whatever.
Sure.
So that, and then, but the English and sort of the other stuff we kind of do as like a semi-homeschool thing.
Sure.
And we do a lot with AI, and she's learning a lot of AI stuff. And, there's some coding stuff, but there's also like Gemini and then like Codex, and I don't know how much you follow that stuff, but anyways, I follow it a lot because I would love to have AI it's very hard to find staff in the restaurant business, in the service business.
Sure.
It's tough everywhere in the world, but for me there's always tedious things like paperwork that we have to do.
Absolutely.
And if I could offload that would be great. And I'm probably not the only person that thinks that in this business. So anyways, we're working a lot with, AI stuff, and it's been going pretty good. So I think that I'm curious about your opinion as like a real teacher. I taught, but I'm not like a real teacher.
Well,
a real teacher with AI and how that will influence things, and I'm very curious about that.
Okay, well, certainly that's our thinking behind.
Yeah.
Okay, you have three options of which way you can do this problem.
I love it.
And that's why I'm trying to have students be able to optimize what they're doing. That's sort of like really the method behind what we do, and what we're trying to not only to be able to do the math, but to work into problem solving, optimizing, thinking about the most efficient way to work.
Okay.
I do think AI, like what you are trying to use AI for, is exactly what it should be used for.
Yeah.
It should be used for those tedious tasks that people don't want to do.
Yeah.
Where, unfortunately, I think a lot of what it's used for that I don't think it should be is in doing things like writing.
Yeah.
Or the creative things, the fun things that people actually enjoy doing.
Yeah.
Keep AI for teach AI how to do the taxes and how to do the bookkeeping.
100%. That's my plan. That's the plan, because nobody wants to do their taxes.
Yeah.
I mean, we all do it, obviously.
Sure.
But nobody wants to, set up the schedule and then do the payroll and count this and count that, and this guy makes this, and this, if this guy don't put this, it's making a schedule and payroll and stuff. It's not great. It's not great. And I don't do it. My wife does it, but it's very tedious. And then when it gets to like payday time, things get tense in the house.
Sure.
It's like, hey, I got to finish this. I'm like, okay, go for it, But that's the plan. And my daughter's been doing a lot with that. She's been doing some voice acting and stuff because she has a little more free time. So I'm trying to kind of keep one foot in both areas.
Okay.
And it's been going pretty good. So
Fantastic.
yeah, like you were talking about the sort of the algorithmic memorization thing. It's also used for English here. Like when she went full time to public school, she would show me, the English tests and stuff like that, and she wouldn't get 100 on the tests because, for example, they would ask a question, and choose one of the four answers, A, B, C, or D. And if you know the language well, A, B, and D are correct.
Right.
But they're looking for B specifically. So if you chose D, you're wrong. So she would come and be like, isn't this right? And I would look at him like, yeah, of course. But yeah, so I'm trying to. So she did elementary, and that's fine. No complaints. But yeah, so we're trying different things. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I do find when I was in Japan, and again, as an English teacher, both in Bushiban but also in the universities, I felt like everything was very grammar-based, and I think that was, and there was a right answer. And even to get into college, you need to take an English test.
Okay.
So one of the stranger things that I did in Japan was, while I was teaching in the university, there was a class that they just put every non-Japanese person into because there was a requirement that if you graduated from that university, you had to take an English test.
Oh, okay.
Like you had to take an English class.
Okay.
Even if you are a Chinese person who is studying in Japan. So you are a native speaker of Chinese. You speak good enough Japanese to be able to attend university. They still insist that people speak English.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
And so there were people who whose English was probably as good as mine.
Okay.
And there were people who couldn't recognize the American alphabet.
Wow. Yeah. That's quite a range. Yeah.
In the same class. And so, I mean, I kind of recognized it for what it was.
That's tough.
They were a fun group.
Yeah. Okay.
It was a fun class.
That's funny. Okay.
But at the same time, like, I also recognized what it was, that, okay, this is a box ticking. And so I would try to meet students at their level. And, you know, I try to keep it light and fun. And even for the kids who could barely say one word in English, I still wanted to make sure that they got through.
I think, so I know that from what I remember, your Japanese is pretty good, right? It seems like. So how was that?
My wife and daughter wouldn't agree with that statement.
Okay, well, my wife and daughter also think my Chinese is not good. But I know what you mean. Yeah. So tell me about, learning Japanese, and I know that. So in Taiwan, I don't know. What would you say the English level wise? Like, I remember when I went to Japan. This was a few years ago, and I'm reasonably good at Mandarin, like reasonably fluent, right? Of course, English and Spanish. So I would use these three languages, which are the world languages, and you can go anywhere in the world with them. And I went to Japan, and my English, Mandarin, and Spanish were not that useful. And I thought, wow, okay. It felt to me like day one in Taiwan, where I would just have to point at pictures, and I was a little bit frustrated. That was just my ego taking a big kick in the nuts, for sure. But it was so how do you think, Japan English level, and without,
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, now I was in there in the late 90s to I think I left in 2009.
Okay.
So and this is also, I was in Fukuoka, Japan, which is in the southwest.
Okay.
It is it's a big enough city to have a baseball team, but it's not on Honshu. It's not on the same island as all the major cities.
Gotcha.
I've heard that in Tokyo, you can probably get around. And you could get around at that point with just English.
Got it.
Whereas in Fukuoka, it was very dicey. But people would still make a strong effort.
Yeah, for sure.
But no, like in Fukuoka in the late 90s, there was not a lot of English.
But do you find that helps you? That helped you to force you kind of out of the comfort zone and use the little bit of Japanese you had, and then kind of like start building on it?
I did, yeah. It did help. It did help drive me. I did hear people who lived even further out that their Japanese really improved. In fact, some people moved out to the countryside specifically so they would have more of an opportunity to speak it.
Beautiful. Okay, so there was one point where you decided, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go get a master's degree. Right?
That's right.
So what was the thought process behind that? Was that during Japan? Or
that was while I was in Japan. Well, I got the first master's, which was in...
first master's, wow.
Yeah, so
smart guy.
Well, thanks, man. That was the one that... usually when someone calls you a smart guy in a bar, it's not a compliment.
Wow, it's a good one. I don't have a master's or anything, so that is a compliment. It's a compliment.
It's usually a fight's about to kick off. Okay, someone calls you a smart guy.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Now, so in seriousness, I got the master's in Japan in English because I could see that being a Bushiban teacher for me in Japan, I had just gotten married and we were looking at having kids, and supporting a family on that salary was terrifying to me.
Okay.
In Japan.
Understandable.
And so then I got the master's. I could teach English in the universities.
So was the master's in Japan like an online thing, or did you go back to the States? Did you take Japan?
Temple University.
Okay.
They have a campus in Japan.
Really?
Yeah.
That's great. I didn't know that. Sorry, I missed that. Okay.
And they had weekly classes in that professors who would come down into Fukuoka.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so then when I went to Abu Dhabi, I realized if I wanted to get a job teaching in a K through 12 school, teaching math,
Okay.
I needed to get a master's in math to match that,
Okay.
which I did. And that was online. I did that through Oregon State.
Okay. So so the double masters. Wow,
Yeah.
smart guy.
Yeah, right. Well,
There you go, yeah.
right?
There
You,
you go.
want to fight?
Wanna fight? Yeah, it's too funny. It's too funny. Yeah. Okay, and then so you pivoted from English to math because you liked it. You thought this is better. There's more of a future in this.
Yeah.
I don't want to be Bushiban guy.
Well, I mean, there was a future in it.
Okay.
I mean, I have friends who were mentoring me in Japan as I was looking for jobs in the universities who the population of 18-year-olds has shrunk. So I noticed this when I left Japan.
Okay, sure.
That there were not a lot of 3-year-olds around.
Okay.
And so then 15
Okay.
years later, there's not a lot of university age students. So I could see that
Smart.
I was going to be getting older. There were going to be less university students, so I needed to find an alternative.
Got it. Wow, that's a very cool, very smart thing to do, I think. Because I mean, I taught English here for a long time,
Right.
and also here it's the population is declining, right?
Right.
So yeah, now I know that there's a lot of schools closing and universities they don't have enough students and stuff. So yeah, that's wow.
And for me as
Yeah.
well. I mean, it was the math thing as well.
And you're a math guy.
I did appreciate
Okay.
the math. I mean, that was my university degree was in math.
Okay.
So that's why I wanted to get back into that.
Okay. And so, you did the Abu Dhabi, you did all that. Then you came to Taipei. What was like? Okay, Taipei. Let's go to Taipei because it's not quite Japan, but there are similarities, right? So, what was the thought process? Be like Abu Dhabi. Let's not go back to Japan.
Well,
Let's go to Taipei.
When I initially left Japan, it was with the aim of getting experience in teaching math, get the opportunity to get a master's in teaching math.
Got it.
And so I did searching. My initial thought is that we would go into Japan,
Okay.
but then I saw there were so many more opportunities, and I got an incredible opportunity at my current school, which
Okay.
we've mentioned is Taipei American School.
Yes, great school.
And I was very fortunate to get a job there,
Okay.
and I mean it's fantastic. It's a great place to work.
Yeah.
And I love the age range. I'm a 6th grade math teacher.
Okay.
And I think the students are at such a great energy level. They're still
Yeah.
kind of little kids.
Yeah.
And they're becoming adolescents, and I'm very immature, so
That's perfect. Yeah. When I taught, I found the same thing. I loved kindergarten. Kindergarten up till about grade 4, 5, 6-ish.
Right.
I liked. And then 7, 8, 9 was a little rough.
yeah.
And then 11, 12, 10, 11, 12, you can you're like the big brother, like, come on, brother,
Right.
what are we doing here? And then that seemed to work when I was teaching. And then I also taught adults, which was fun. I enjoyed that. It was funny that the school that I taught at, adults would come in, they just finished work, they're paying for this,
Yeah.
school, and they'd have like their lunchbox or whatever, and they'd come in and they'd be like, teacher, do you mind if I eat during class? I'm like, go ahead, man, you're an adult. And most of them were older than I was.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, of course, and then they're like, teacher, you're very tall. Do you mind if we kind of like adjust the tables so we can have a bit? I'm like, do whatever you want. You're adults, man. It's all good. And then the school, the owner and the manager, I got like written up. I got so much crap for it. I got so much crap from the owners of the school. They're like, they're not allowed to move tables. I'm like, they're like in their 40s. That's pretty weird. I'm like, they're adults and they're like, teacher, there's no eating in class. And I'm like, well, they just finished work and they rushed over here, and it's probably going to take them 5 minutes to wolf that down in the beginning of class. So I don't see a big deal. And they're like, no, that's against the rules. And then there was a lot of this kind of built up over and over and over. And then eventually I'm like, okay, I'm sick of these rules. This is weird. I'm done because they're adults. I'm an adult. This is dumb. And then the school was like, oh my God, you're like our most popular teacher. Why do you want to quit? And I'm like, because why are you being mean? This is weird. Why are you putting all these weird rules in here? I mean, this is an adult. He's hungry. just let him wolf down his little, fan tuan, his little right triangle thing, right? Just no big deal.
So it's funny that you
crazy.
should say that because when I was in Japan, and I was working in English conversation teacher.
Yeah.
And so I had just started the master's.
Okay.
And I had to get special, like I had to ask my boss to change my schedule so I could attend these classes, and he was very supportive, which was great. And so I had to ride my bike, quick run to, park near the place, grab a convenience store dinner, and then go into the classroom. And I asked, is it okay that I eat while I?
But you're an employee at the time, and you're
no,
like,
but this is
okay. But you were taking
no. This is for the classes at Temple University when I was studying for my master's.
Okay.
And then
your teacher's like, no. What did the teacher?
Oh,
say?
he was fine because he was an American guy.
It's like, go ahead, dude.
But after 2 years of doing this course, I got in the habit of eating, and I was in my last class, and I had a Japanese woman who had just started tell me off for being disrespectful to the teacher.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's so funny. You're like, no, literally, I'm working, and I need to, that's too funny.
Yeah.
All right, brother. So Taipei, right? We're in Taipei.
Yes.
You moved to Taipei. You got this really good gig.
Yeah.
Right? Which you're still at right now.
That is, yeah.
Awesome.
That's
good gig. It's funny because with this restaurant, we know a lot of the teachers and the principals and the parents and the kids. And it's funny because a lot of people, friends, acquaintances, they know that. So they're always like telling me like, hey, man, get me in there, put in a good word. I'm like, I don't know them that well. Like, and, beers and tacos and, fish taco. Yeah, we hang out, but it's not like, I can get you in the door, right? So it's a funny random thing, but and anyways, you're here. You had that. You said you planned on building the family. You got married, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe we can move into that.
Sure. Yeah, let's talk about it.
Okay. So you're coming in. You got the family. You had your son in the States.
No, we had him in Japan.
Okay.
So both my children were born in Japan.
Okay. So does that mean they get? I mean, your wife's Japanese, so they get all the
That's
benefits, the ID and all that stuff, right?
They do, yeah.
Okay.
Now, it used to be that once children of like Japanese and foreign-born had, I think particularly American, had reached 20, they had to choose. And then I would say within the past 5 years, there have been a few elite athletes who were both Japanese and American.
Okay.
Who were not forced to choose.
They fudged the line a little bit there for them, yeah?
And so then enough people said, hey, wait a minute. Come on.
Hold on. What do we want to get? One more of what?
Yeah,
Sorry,
I'll go with a disco, please.
2 discos, please.
Yeah,
thanks.
thank you.
2 number 4s, yeah, thanks. Sorry, yeah. So they were fudging the line there.
Yeah, and so then
Athletes, obviously, right?
enough people said, "Hey, come on."
What is this?
And so then the Japanese government backtracked and said, "Oh, we never actually said that people had to give up."
Ah, too funny.
But now I just got to say, thanks Naomi Osaka.
There you go. Yes. So you being, I don't know how it works. I have no idea. For me, living here in Taiwan, I have my Taiwanese wife, I have my business, I have my daughter. I can still not become Taiwanese unless I give up my Canadian citizenship, which I won't. So is Japan something like that, or is it because Japan's a bigger country and it's kind of recognized in the UN that you don't have to do that? Is there a similar situation like that?
Well, I do know a few people who have had the path to, people who are married to American citizens that have been able to find a path to American citizenship. The difference is that Japanese have to give up their Japanese citizenship.
Okay.
And that's a Japan rule. That's not an American rule.
Got it.
So my wife had hoped to do it. She was looking into it, and then when she heard she had to give up her Japanese citizenship,
that's tough.
she gave it. Yeah, she stopped at that part, which understandable, and I support 100%.
No, for sure. Like for me as well, I have my daughter born and raised here. She's got her Taiwanese, she's got her Canadian, she's got the citizenship and the passport. She's got everything on both. but I would have to give up. And also my wife, we also went in, back in the day and asked about, if she could get any kind of Canadian, and they're just like, no, she has to live there. So yeah, so my daughter is lucky; she's got them both. But yeah, it's kind of unique. Yeah, I was just curious about that. I didn't know, because I figured because of the whole political China-Taiwan thing, choose us or them thing, that's why. But no, I guess interesting. That is interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Currently, my daughter is. She did just turn 20 recently.
Okay. Congrats. Happy birthday to her.
And she is in.
It's good.
She's in Milwaukee right now.
Milwaukee.
Yeah, Milwaukee. Yeah,
I love it.
She seems to be enjoying it.
That's great, man. And this is the first time she's lived there.
That's correct. Yeah.
Because she's lived in Asia her whole life.
Right. It was yeah. They've all been Asia. Yeah.
That's very cool, because it's very different, right?
Well, right. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
and again, living in Abu Dhabi from Japan was a big switch for my wife.
Sure.
For my kids, I think although they visited family in Japan, I don't think I don't think they had a lot of.
Interesting.
Well, they have memories of Japan, but not prior to moving to Abu Dhabi.
So like my daughter, when we go back to Canada for the summers, so when I was a kid, let's backtrack. When I was a kid, not every summer, but many of the summers, when we would take a vacation, we would go to Mexico, because my grandparents were there, and the aunts and the uncles and everybody was there, and it was fun. And for me, Mexico was like paradise. I was like, this is great. You get to play soccer on the road all day, and you get to eat, and it's great. It's always hot. You can go to the beach. It's amazing. So for my daughter, it's the same thing, where when we go to Canada's like, that's her paradise. It's like she loves Taiwan. It's great. When she goes to Canada, grandma takes her wherever she wants. She does whatever, she goes to the beach. She does whatever she wants, because it's like, this is Canada. The funniest thing, her favorite thing growing up, going to Canada every 2 or 3 years, was drive-throughs, because we don't have a car here. We don't drive, because you don't need to drive in Taipei.
Are there drive-thrus here?
Yeah, there are a few.
Oh, okay. See, I don't even know that.
Yeah, so we don't have a car, so we never use any of the drive-thrus here. But in Canada, everything's a drive-through.
Right.
It's like Tim Hortons or A&W or whatever. And anytime we do a trip somewhere, you have to drive, and it's a long drive, and you get up early and you go to the drive-through. And for us, that's normal, right?
Sure.
But for my daughter, who was from here, would go back for that. That was like, for her, the most amazing thing. Like, oh my gosh, we get to eat in the car, a little breakfast sandwich from Tim Hortons. This is amazing. So whenever we go back to Canada, the first thing she'd want to do is a drive-through, and Canada was just like paradise for her. So for your kids going back to the States, was it something similar like that?
Well, first of all, I'd never go through a drive-through, even in the States.
Okay.
To me, it is so much slower.
It's for sure slow. Yeah.
I'm still a guy who will walk into a bank to make a withdrawal.
Okay.
But I will say probably, because everything it's a vacation in the States. It's not like anything we do there. I'm not working, so naturally we're going to the water parks. We're going to the arcade.
Yeah.
Like there's an arcade that you can pay $20 for an all-day pass, play 80s video games,
so good,
unlimited for $20.
I love that.
So, we do a lot of stuff like that. So,
and she likes that too,
right?
Arcades and all that stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
Nice.
So I just went back this past winter, and of course now for my daughter, it is real life. And, she is working.
And how's that? That's what I was going to ask. The next question is the transition from paradise to like, okay, this is real life now.
She's got herself a pretty good job, in the service industry, and she enjoys it. She's able to not have to work a lot.
Yeah.
And she is I think she's still she's taking a year off.
Okay.
So I think and I think she enjoys. She still hangs out with her friends in Madison.
Okay.
And I think if you think back to when you were in your 20s, it's
been a while.
Well, it's been longer for me, but man, that time when in between school, in between graduating from college, and
That was
and
fun.
then leaving the States, it was fun. And so I think she's living that right now. So
Okay.
Obviously it's still fun times done. But this last summer, this last winter,
Yeah.
we went back, saw a few shows.
That's
we went to the arcade a couple times.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah.
This was a little easier when Dad's paying for it. But
Yeah, of course, of course. Yeah. I remember when my parents would come down to visit and pay for everything and load up the deep freezer with meats and whatever, right? It was amazing. Good times. And then, but I think it's a good transition to, you have your, your good life and your good upbringing,
Sure.
and then you go and you're kind of like the starving college kid.
Yeah.
And I think it's, pressure builds diamonds, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you got to have a little bit of that. I think it's great. I loved college. It was so fun. I didn't do well at all. School, what's the word? Scholastic, whatever. School-wise, I did horribly. But the experience was so fun. One of the funnest times in my life. It's tough to compare that or 23-year-old single guy in Taiwan where there's no foreigners. Those are both very, very good times.
Sure.
Yeah. Very good time. For different, well, maybe not so different, but different reasons. Yeah. I got some pictures. Let's kind of rapid fire through some pictures. Yeah. All right. So we'll just pop them up there.
Sure.
And there we go. Boom.
There we
Tell
go.
me what's happening. It's like some kind of lighthouse.
Oh, this is the lighthouse. This is, I think this is just the northernmost lighthouse of Taiwan. I was just out with a friend about a year and a half ago. So
Okay.
Or
Cool.
actually closer, maybe just a year ago. So,
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. And boom.
Okay.
I remember this hair is it every year? But I remember this year for sure the hair was like this.
Well, it's most years. So I've had students who I taught last year ask, "Are you going to do it again?"
Okay.
So this is the Spirit Week, and when we have Crazy Hair Day, I always like to
Go hard.
I go hard, man. And then it's fun because then we have spring break, and then I just keep it for like a week or two.
That's awesome. I love that. Damn.
Okay.
Jim and Dad's. Yeah.
Jim and Dad's. So you can see I had mentioned Lakefront Brewing earlier. So that's my biking jersey from Lakefront, and my friends and I we have Thanksgiving break. So my friends and I we went to we took a bike ride to Jim and Dad's. Had a few drinks, and then we had arranged to have a van come and pick us up. So
That's awesome.
When we can do it, we love doing it. But just schedules don't always align, especially when my friends
Sure.
have young children. So.
Yeah. Shout out to Jim and Dad's, man. Love Jim. Love Jim.
And there we
There's
are.
another
That's
one.
the four of us outside.
That place is when they built that and we went out there for the first time. It's like a palace. It's so nice.
It is
It's so
fantastic.
nice,
And
yeah.
I don't know if you can see under my arm, I'm holding a Jim and Dad's growler.
The growler, Jim and Dad's growler. Yeah,
And
yeah.
that may or may not have had some beer in it for
Yeah.
the ride back.
May or may not. Yeah. We'll leave that to a mystery. Yeah. Bam. Bike riding.
So this is there's a ride from from Taipei to Kaohsiung every November.
Yep.
And this was this past November. The three of us. It's called the 360 Twin Cities. So the three of
Bike all the way down.
we did.
Wow.
Yeah, this year it took us. What I was gonna say, 18 hours.
Oh, I was gonna say 6 days. Wow, that's
No.
pretty good.
It was either
18
16 or
hours.
18. I can't remember. But the last year, in 2024, did it in 16. No, so it would have been 18.
So it's a nonstop, like an ultra marathon thing.
Yeah, I mean,
kind
you
of.
stop for breaks and
Yeah.
whatnot. And I
wow.
believe with the year that it took us 16, there were it was 12 hours of riding and 4 hours of breaks. So.
Oh, wow, that's pretty amazing, man. Couple more here.
Okay,
The pie
so-
in the face.
This is a 24-hour bike ride that I do in Milwaukee every year. And in fact, I'm wearing this shirt, which is from this most recent year. And I think
Okay.
that photo might be from this recent year, too.
Okay.
And then they have challenges. And one of the challenges was to help run. You can see in the back there's children on bicycles. Help
Yeah.
run theirs. And so the kids got to grab pie plates with shaving cream. So
Okay.
they're supposed to be pie. I think that for the first year or two, they did actually use whipped cream,
Okay.
which gets very gross in the heat.
I can imagine. Yeah.
So they used whipped cream here instead of I'm sorry, they used shaving cream instead
I was
of whipped
gonna say,
cream.
Shaving cream makes more sense than because whipped cream's that's made with butter and cream and stuff, whatever, right?
It does, and keep
Yeah.
those eyes closed because it stinks.
Okay. Oh wow. Yeah, I never even thought of that. That's crazy. That's crazy.
But it was fun. It's just fun being a part of those children's ride, and it's like a cool experience for them.
That's very cool.
And that was like a shirt from previous years. So I've been doing that ride for probably. Well, I think the first time I did it was like 2009, 2010.
Okay.
And 1 year I did it on a tandem bicycle with a good friend of mine.
Really?
Yeah.
Were you carrying the brunt of the weight, or was he? Or was it kind
Well,
of
he was in the
50-50?
front. He was doing the steering. I was
Oh.
the back is the motor, I guess.
The back's the motor. Oh,
But
okay.
I certainly didn't have the balance. I tried doing it in the
That's too
front. I
funny.
just could not
Cheers, man.
ride. Cheers,
That's
man.
too funny. Yeah, that's very cool. That's the old one. The other way. There we go.
Okay, and that was from this past year too as well. And so, a friend of mine. This is a different friend. You get names. Like you can name your team. And since I was a solo rider,
Okay.
well, my friend, his name. There's a comic called Suicide Squad.
Sure, I know it, I know
His
it.
is Suicide Squid.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay. Okay.
And my nickname is Type A Personality.
Type A personality. Okay. Okay. And this was also over there. Yeah.
This was there. This is one of the challenges. Like you go like it's essentially a 24-hour kind of party slash
nice.
bike ride. You're riding around a course and doing these challenges. The challenges could range from they want to put a rooftop garden on the top of a 5-story building, so you're bringing bucket loads of
Ice.
of dirt to the top of the roof so they can.
Okay.
So they're basically using the labor from this ride, or you're helping in a community garden. They're teaching about the community garden, or it can be a local brewery that says, okay, you can choose to create a sail to get this boat across the line, this little small boat across the line. Build something that will be a sail, or we'll give
Okay.
you a bottle rocket. You can use a bottle rocket.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
So kind of silly little things like that. where
Okay.
It's silly little.
you gotta keep the fun. Keep the fun.
Yeah.
Right? All right, we got a couple left, man.
Okay.
It's gonna get a little tougher,
Yeah?
unfortunately. Yeah. If we're cool with.
So that was from.
That's my old restaurant.
It is, and
Yeah.
this was. I took that photo. It was one of the first times I had been to your restaurant. I think it was.
I remember designing that sign. Yeah.
This was August. I believe August 15th, 2015, because that was
Okay.
with when I sent you the photo. That was the
Yep,
first
That's
one.
exactly it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. August 15th. Sorry, I'm gonna put that up. Yeah.
So I had been in town for maybe a little over 2 weeks.
and that you were basically telling me that you lived in the next alley by the dandy.
I did, and I
didn't know
had
that
this,
until now.
I had gone there on my own once or twice, but my family arrived about a week or two after me, and so this is these pictures are the first time that I went with my son.
Okay. And there he is.
There he is,
Great,
and
great kid. Great kid. Yeah.
yeah, that's my son Lucas, and he arrived at as a 6th grader at our school.
Yeah. Yep.
And and I was a 6th grade teacher. We
Yeah.
challenged him.
So you got to teach him.
I did not.
You did not.
No,
Okay.
well, which was by design.
Is that by design? Okay.
By design.
Makes sense.
But
Makes sense.
we also, because he had arrived on his Japanese passport and was using his Japanese name,
Interesting. Okay.
he did not have the same last name as me.
Oh.
And we
okay.
challenged him to see how long he could go without people figuring out he was my son.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Now, obviously, his teachers knew because they could see the parent information.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
most people, we challenge to see how long you can go.
Cool, man. And that was the first time you guys went. Yeah.
That was the first time we went. Yeah,
Yeah.
And I was very excited to show him this great place I had
Yeah.
found.
Around the corner. Yeah.
And we used to come to your place
All the time playing cards,
play cards. It was
board games and stuff.
Yeah, that was on the. It was a weekly event. I think one time my wife and I we just decided to come down for some beers. That's when we discovered that you had a beer deal. So we're like, oh, well, this is the day that we're coming.
That's
let's bring
right.
the
Yeah,
kids.
yeah, for sure. And we actually saw families like you guys, doing the cards and the board games and stuff like that. And that kind of got us into it. Like,
right.
I grew up kind of playing some board games, but my wife is Taiwanese. She doesn't play board games. But I always thought that was cool. And I thought, well, when my daughter gets older, I'm going to do that. And we do
awesome
Settlers of Catan, stuff like that, and all that stuff. The last time we went to Canada, we got Risk.
Okay.
And what else do we have? We have so many games that it's kind of crazy. And you start with Uno, and then you kind of expand and stuff. And it was cool. Also, when I taught Uno and stuff to the kids that I taught, and it was always good fun, man. It's always good fun.
Yeah.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Teaching Spanish as an English teacher.
I actually exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I actually at one point did teach Spanish here.
Okay.
It's just not that popular.
Sure.
And English is easier. So I thought, well, people are inherently lazy. I'd rather just do it in English, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Because the Spanish, I learned Spanish just by speaking with my family because my mom couldn't speak English when I was little, and so I just know it as a pretty native, I'd say. It's very rusty now.
Okay.
Not using it in Taiwan.
Sure.
For 20 years, having it buried under Chinese, whenever people would ask me for rules, but even in English, when there'd be rules, I didn't remember. I don't remember them because it's just, you just speak it, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, of course, you'd mentioned playing card games.
There you go, bro.
And showing my son. Mm-hmm. Now, we played so many board games, like with my family, and even playing with other families.
Yeah.
Other good friend of mine who he started bringing board games to our place and playing with us when his daughters were young. Now that his daughters are older, I go over to his place and I play games with them.
Oh, that's really cool. So. Yeah, I remember. Like I said, we try to bring the games around, and whenever my daughter has a sleepover or something, I know sleepover is not a big thing in Taiwan, but
sure.
In the Western culture, like Canadian America, it's
absolutely.
huge, right? So for a kid, for my daughter, her the ultimate is a sleepover. Like her friend comes and sleeps over, and that was her favorite thing. So I'll always, I let them, of course, do their thing, but there'll always be one point where we're playing Settlers or we're playing something, right? And the other kids are like, wow, especially the Taiwanese kids, because they're they don't play board games, right? Not any that I know of.
Sure.
And so they'd be like, wow, this is great. Yeah. Board game night, man. We love it. And my wife is into it too. We'll get home after a long day sometimes, and she's like, we need to play board games. And it's funny because, again, she's Taiwanese, so not to be stereotypical, but she's good with numbers. She's good at math, right? Those are the things I'm the worst at. And there's a game with tiles called Rumi Cube.
Yeah, that's very similar to Mahjong, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And she loves that, and she just owns me and my daughter on that. And we'll be sitting there just getting worked by my wife, and we're just like, man. I'm like, all right, let's play Settlers, and she's like, I don't want to play that strategy game. I want to play Rumi Cube. So
I play a game. I've recently found a game.
Yeah.
There was a Taipei, the International Book Exchange or Book Fair or whatever, and a friend of mine convinced me to go there to check out some games.
Nice.
And I went and I found this great game, and so I brought it into my class, my students, and it's just a very, without getting too into it, it's a very spatially based game, and you're racing to fill in a grid with these pieces. And I generally dominated at that game. However, I have a 6th grade student.
Okay.
This girl who just dominates everyone, and I've never beat her. Amazing. And I think that sometimes it's just some the spatial reasoning.
They've just got something in there that, that's cool. Yeah. That's a funny thing is when my daughter was born, I had, like a PS3, and I had all that, all the video game stuff. And when she was born, I'm like, I've wasted so much time on video games.
Yeah.
I sold all of it.
Okay.
And then one summer when she was about 5, maybe 5, around 5ish, we went to Canada.
Okay.
And my nephews were all about the Switch, right? Switch just came out. and she was just like, whoa, what is that? And then she grabbed it, and she just like was amazing at video games, right? And so from then till now, like she has her own little like YouTube channel where she'll like stream Roblox and stuff, because I have all this gear already.
And again, I'd heard you talk to her, and I heard you mention that. Yeah.
And it's funny because I will go to like, you know, parties and stuff where there'd be kids her age.
Sure.
And they'll be playing video games like Smash, you know, Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah, that's fat. Yeah.
On Nintendo Switch or Super Mario Kart or whatever. And then Switch games, right? And there'd be kids that play them, but they play like at a kid level.
Yeah.
And then my daughter is like the Rottweiler in the corner, kind of looking at me. I'm like, just give everyone a chance. You know?
So you had mentioned her.
So funny.
Her.
Yeah.
So like a year and a half ago, I heard an interview, and she was just pushing for 100 subscribers. What is she up to now?
She's over. She's getting close to a few hundred for sure.
Well, I would have to say.
Yeah,
I was picturing a number much larger than just under 100. But So
I believe she's close to 1,000 now. She kind of got busy and she stopped a bit, but
fantastic.
She loves it though. I mean, and I love it too. I mean, you know,
Sure.
I'm sitting there. I know that in the States and in Canada, they're always putting out, you know, these advisories of, hey, you know, keep your kids off Roblox. There's predators, etc. And I'm not saying that there's not, but
no, I get it.
I play the game with her. Like we'll play.
No, I mean, I think
she's not allowed to add people. Like she adds my friends' kids that play Roblox. That's
absolutely.
She's not allowed to chat. She just plays.
No, I get it, and I get it, and like that was a fantastic.
Yeah.
I used to dominate my kids at Mario Kart, and
you have to, and that teaches them, right? Yeah.
But now when I play, like my daughter has to handicap me when we play Mario Kart.
Yeah. You have to. You have to. I mean, and it's funny because there used to be this kind of like a STEAM program school called Skyrock.
Okay.
And they had like a tournament, like a Super Mario, Smash Brothers tournament. And my daughter had Smash, and she was abnormally good at it.
Okay.
And so she went and she just, you know, smashed all the kids, you know, Smash Brothers. She destroyed everybody. And they let her play with the adults, and she was like whooping the adults. And
wow.
It was just like
fantastic.
It was crazy because they're just like, what? Does she just play video games all day? I'm like, no, she doesn't just play them all day, but she just really likes them.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's funny now that when I was a kid, you know, I liked video, like, you know, whatever, Nintendo, and, you know, I went from Atari and television all the way up, and my mom would always be like, nobody's going to pay you to play video games. You know, you're wasting your time. You know, and then you're like, okay, and then you kind of stop. But now I'm like playing, you know, some of the esports games and stuff. Those guys like make athlete money. It's crazy. It's crazy, right? Especially in Asia, right? They're making that crazy money. So she likes that, and yeah, life is kind of crazy, man. Life is kind of crazy, and like I said, she would look up, kind of like, can I go full out on these kids my age? But, you know, I'm like, just give them a chance, you know. And she would just kind of like whoop everybody, and I'm like, whoa. The other kids didn't even want to play. They're like, this is not even fun.
Right.
They're getting their asses kicked. Yeah, it's crazy times, man. Yeah, brother. Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything you wanted to make sure that we hit on before you called it? Yeah.
So you had mentioned, like, I'd been talking about my daughter.
Yeah.
I haven't talked about my son so much.
Let's please talk about him. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
here he is. That's a he's such a great kid. Yeah.
My kid was and I say was because he's died.
Yeah.
He was such a brilliant kid, and we would play games with him, and what a great mind on that kid. Mm-hmm. So he died. The anniversary was this past week.
Oh shoot! Okay, I didn't know that. Gotcha.
So he died 5 years ago.
Gotcha. Okay.
And he was a student at TAS.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
And I have, like, I talk about him a bit, and I talk about his story. Talk about what it was like. So I'm sorry. I have a website, and I have
in the description below. Check it out for sure.
And I have a Substack.
Your Substack as well. Yeah.
And I talk about him. I talk about my life from the day he died.
Yeah.
what that day was like, and beyond. I talk about memories of him from the age of him being a young child. About the rough time I went through.
Sure.
About the fantastic support I had from the community here through TAS, through Tianmu, through people who knew him. And then I talk about how I've managed to process the grief of losing a child. And it's like even as recently as a year ago, I think, the day of his birthday last year, he turned 21, would have turned 21, March 20th of 2025. I was a wreck.
Sure.
And I still have my days.
Understandable. Yeah.
But I talk about him, and I'm doing a lot better. And I think, I had a little bit of an epiphany, and I talk about all the thought process.
Sure.
I initially started writing my website. Probably, I wrote the first thing the day he died.
Okay.
And I wrote it for a while, and it was just processing the grief. And then eventually I came to the conclusion that unless I actually finished each individual thing that I wrote, I wasn't really going to come to terms with the ideas I was putting out into Google Docs.
Do you feel like that kind of closure, like you would finish kind of things? You would kind of like, okay, here's this, and okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And part of it came down to, I noticed contradictions in my thinking.
Sure.
I noticed painful parts that I was coming to that I would back off from and not finish.
Yeah, of course.
And so through forcing myself to finish, and I put myself on a publishing schedule. So I started putting things out, and I believe it was in July of 2024.
And this was the Substack, or this was the website?
This was the website,
Got
and
it.
then I started backdating things on Substack. So I have both a Substack and a website.
Uh-huh.
They have the same content for the most part. I'd say they're 90% the same. However, the website has photos and videos of him.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've seen it, of course. I've read some of the articles. They're great. Obviously, it's not something that anyone can be prepared for, right? And,
Sure.
and not something that anyone can be prepared for, right?
Right.
And I mean, the day that I met you, that I didn't know, and the day that you told me, it was like,
I've written about that.
you wrote that? I was absolutely soul crushed. I did not know what to say.
I mentioned it. I didn't mention you by name or the restaurant by name, but I did say.
Okay.
I did cite that as the first time where I had to tell someone,
Okay.
and that person was probably more upset at me telling them than I was at having to say it.
I was just thinking about that, man. Okay. That was rough. Yeah, because I've seen the family, grow up and come in, like we were talking about, doing the cards and having the family time and one of the things that's a blessing for us here with the restaurant is families like yours. You come in and, family moves to Taipei, they move to Tianmu, and, you see their kids are little, they come in, they get the kids' meal, the quesadillas and stuff like that. And then, slowly they grow up, and slowly they still come with their families for dinner, but they also come with their friends. They're like 12, 14, 15. They come with their friends for dinner, and you see that. And then occasionally you'll see two of them come here for a date, and you'll see this not really a couple, but like a first or a second date of like this kid that you knew when she was like 5, and this boy that you knew when he was like 7, and they come with their families and they do the kids' day and the quesadillas, and then they're 16 now or 18 or whatever, and then they come for dates, and you're just like, whoa, it's really it's really mind blowing. And if I know the parents well, I'll snap up a couple pictures and I'll send it to them, and I'll be like, we're keeping an eye on them. They're good. Just because as a dad, I have a daughter.
Sure.
And I think, my God, I need to, make sure, right? So it's I also feel that we're blessed here to meet families like you guys, and definitely blessed to have met your son, my man.
Yeah.
Cheers,
Cheers,
brother.
man.
Cheers to you and to him. Thank you. And I wanted to chat with you about it for a long time, but it's a hard thing to bring up. I don't know what to say, especially that time. I was like, couldn't even talk. Yeah.
Well, that was another big reason I wanted to do the website.
Yeah.
Was I think up until that point, no one really wanted to say anything to me.
Of course.
And I understand that.
Yeah.
It's a tough thing, and it also depends so much on the individual.
Yeah.
And I've wanted to talk about Lucas, and I wanted to let people know that it's okay to talk about him.
Okay.
And that was the way I did it.
Okay. I think that the website and the stories are so, like, they're really, first person, they're really real, and they're really amazing, and it's a pretty amazing thing that you're sharing, because like you were saying, it's something that's usually hidden and nobody talks about it, and nobody wants to ask you, because it's even here, I'm like, I don't know how to bring things up. Sure. Because it's such a sensitive thing. And I knew him. He's a great kid, and it's crazy. It's I don't even know how to describe it.
Well,
words can't.
There was an incident from a few weeks ago that really was a reflective moment for me.
Okay.
I told a story about Lucas when he was 4 or 5 years old. And It was a funny story. It was an anecdote meant to be funny. And my friend laughed and then said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Was that okay that I laughed?" And I said, "Yeah, of course."
Yeah.
Because, well, one, if I'm bringing him up, of course it's okay. It's okay to talk.
Yeah.
But at the same time, think about a funny story from when Alia was 4 or 5.
Oh yeah, I absolutely. Okay. I have.
Yeah. And so now at this point, as a father, you must be grieving who she was. Like, you don't have that 4 or 5 year old.
Yeah.
So we're all.
Yeah.
I miss the 4-year-old Lucas, the 7-year-old Lucas, the 11-year-old Lucas, the 15-year-old Lucas. I guess the difference between the two of us is that you'll get to meet the 18 or 20 or 30-year-old Alia, and I'll never meet that version of Lucas.
Yeah.
So if I'm telling a story about when my kid was young, we're the same.
Yeah.
We're both thinking about, man, I really miss that little kid.
I remember the days when she was little, and we have this. It's like this Google Home thing, and it's connected to my Google Photos on my email, and that email I've been using for 15 years or however long Gmail has been available, and the photos automatically upload there. So I'll have these scrolling pictures of when she was like 2 and 3 and 5 and 14, and even when I see now, she could be sitting beside me and I'll see 4-year-old her, and I would be like, oh my gosh, 4-year-old you. And even though she's there, I'm just thinking, oh my God, I miss the sitting her on my shoulders. It's crazy. Being a dad is tough. It's a tough, but it's a good journey, man. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I want to get you another refill. Are you good? Yeah. Are you done?
I'm good for now.
You're good for now. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. I think so. Moving forward, you guys are happy in Taipei?
We are.
Stick around here. Yeah.
I think we're gonna be here a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's a great place, and I think good for your wife that you can travel back to Japan and stuff. It's very close.
We do, yeah. I know my wife has family, and an aging relative that she visits often. So
Okay.
she makes a point of visiting Japan 4 times a year.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, I go there once every several years. So I don't know. I mean, I like it. I just don't go often enough.
I understand because there's Japan, but then there's going to the in-laws in Japan. Yeah, I mean, like my wife is from Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And we did it for Chinese New Year. It's the small town version of it's a small town.
Sure.
It's still big because it's Taiwan.
Right.
But it's like a small town, and there's not much to do. It's a little boring, and we because I speak Mandarin, everybody wants me to be included in everything. And sometimes I just want to sit there and veg, and I don't get to do that. And so yeah, it's not my favorite place to go. So I understand that. So I think Japan, good food, and the arcades and anime and stuff.
Sure.
But I guess you think Japan, okay, it's like going to visit the in-laws and stuff like. I don't know. I love my in-laws.
I somehow escaped that.
I love my in-laws for sure, but I just feel yeah, like I said, we did Miao Li last week for Chinese New Year, for Lunar New Year. I don't know, we always want to use, but yeah, it's we went for a couple days, and it's fun. It's great to see them.
Sure.
And they come to visit us a lot, so it's not that far, but it's also like it's a little boring. It's not too much. I remember taking my daughter there. She obviously she's been there a million times, but I remember what I like to do is I like to go take a walk. I'll go take my walk around the town. I know you like to bike, but I like to walk.
Sure.
And so I'll walk around. And I remember when the first time my daughter was old enough, I'm like, I'm going for a walk. She's like, I want to go for a walk with you. I said, okay, let's go for a walk. And my daughter is like, obviously born and raised. Her mom's Taiwanese. She's 100% Taiwanese. Aside, she's Mexican, Canadian, Taiwanese. And we were out there looking, going for a walk. And she's like, man, you think they'd have like a Subway or something around here, And she's so like, yeah, it's funny because she's very, very westernized. She's like, man.
Yeah, the times
Yeah.
that I visited my in-laws.
Yeah.
I would go for runs.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
A lot of times I would run.
I walk, yeah. They're like, hey, you going for a walk? Yep.
A lot of times I'd end up at the
bar down the corner.
No, not the. Well, I think that would have been an obvious.
Yeah, no, I
but,
never.
At a local shopping mall, the version they had there in the small town, I would just sit at a coffee shop.
Yeah, that's actually what I do. That's actually what I do when I go back, and it's nice because there's I mean, Taiwan maybe has this whole like boutique sort of coffee shop vibe that's
Right.
kind of growing. I don't know about Japan, but Taiwan has that, and Miao Li has a few of those. So we even went to a couple of those, and we were just kind of chilling there. And I thought, it's more
Sure.
fun than I remember. Yeah,
And mine it was 20 years ago, so it's been a while.
That's true.
So
It's been a while.
I can't say what.
Mine was last week. So yeah. I still need that time where and bless them. We see them all the time, and everybody's getting older and less healthy and stuff. So we do spend time with them, but it's also like I work a lot.
Absolutely.
I'm a restaurant guy.
I'm surprised that you're able to get away to
Yeah.
go to Canada at all.
It's very rare, and it's in the summer when you guys are all gone.
Right.
No, like this area, like Tianmu overall slows down in the summertime.
Okay.
It's very hot, so the locals, they don't want to go out, especially for lunch. And the expats in this area, everybody's traveling Europe or States or Australia.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of our window, and that's the best window to go to Canada because I'm not a fan of the snow. Hence tropical island, hence
Right.
living here. Yeah. Brother, I am very, very honored, and I feel blessed that you were able to share that with me today, man. Thank you so much.
Bring it in, man.
Yeah. Have a good one, and we will see. Hey, thank you, man. Sorry, yeah. All right, I'll take it. Thank you so much for that, man. Man, I can't imagine, and you're amazing, and your wife's amazing, and you guys are amazing, and we just thank you so much I'm honored to have you here and
Yeah,
share
I
the
appreciate
story.
the invite.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to check out the stories, we have the description and a link in the link in the description below, aaronsorensen.net, right?
That's right, yeah.
Check that out, and also the Substack as well. Yeah.
It's Life After Lucas.
Life After Lucas, yeah. Beautiful, man. Thank you guys for watching the podcast, and we hope you guys enjoyed it. Definitely check out Life After Lucas and aaronsorensen.net, and we will see you guys next week. All right.
All right,
Take
yeah,
care.
we'll see you.
See you later.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you everybody for watching Eddy's show. We feel only happiness, don't feel any sorrow. Welcome everybody to watch more on his content. Eddy Live Podcast. Eddy Live Podcast.